Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Kyle Wright 425 podcast. I am your host, Kyle Wright. If this is your first time checking us out, first and foremost, we want to say thank you, and we want to be sure that you're following us on Spotify, as well as subscribe to us on YouTube. Both are found with the name Kyle Wright 425, just with on Spotify, added the name of Kyle Wright 425 podcast. So if you want to check us out, you can go ahead and do that, and yeah, that'd be fantastic. So either way, we're just happy that you guys are here and getting ready to check this out. So tonight, it's going to be a little different, but I want to go about this in a very different way. I don't want to make this a boo fest. I don't want to make this an issue.
Yeah, I want
this to be different
too. Yeah, like this is not like, oh, I don't know, cry for help or, you know, starve for attention. No, this is, I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel like it's going to go the same way maybe that you're going to take it that I was going to take it in a sense, but
yeah,
we'll see.
Well, I'm going to start off this week with a visual aid, and it's actually going to be shown on the channel on YouTube. So if you guys want to actually see what the picture looks like when it pops up, if you're listening on Spotify, jump over to YouTube. You can see what it looks like. But there's some context to this picture I'm going to show. And for those of you guys who are just listening on Spotify, I'll still describe it for you what it is that Eric is seeing. But essentially, our mom got a hold of me and said, hey, can you help us with something? Basically, our Aunt Heidi needed a TV moved out of her house because she's had the same box TV that she's had for the past like 15 years or whatever it is. And
probably longer than that.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of a number that was long. So it probably is way more than that. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it. But so we moved this TV out and everything, and got everything set up. We had a bit of a nightmare with a couple of things that was going on, just because it was faulty equipment, and but it was just not fun. But one of the things that I did was I got to walk through the house, and we've mentioned this on previous podcasts before, but Aunt Heidi was somebody that took us in under her roof, and it wasn't just us kids; it was us kids and mom. Mm-hmm. And I was camped out in the basement that became kind of like my main bedroom, and I put something down there many years ago, and every time I've gone back, it's always been there. It's never been moved. It's never been altered.
Is it like, did you like hide it?
No, it's right out in the open. And the second that I said I wanted to go to the basement, she looked at me and she said, it's still there. And I just chuckled, and I was like, oh my God. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I went in the basement, and this is what was there. So I'm going to go ahead and hand this to you, and you can see what it is. Read off what you see. Touch it to keep the screen alive, otherwise it'll go dark on you.
Nickelback, Silver Side Up. That's so funny.
That was one of my very first rock albums I ever bought.
Okay.
And I was
like with your own money.
Yeah. Like I was super young. And I thought I was edgy because I had this, CD that had like cussing on it and stuff. It's like, that was like me like stepping up in my music game. Yeah. Like I felt like, honestly, it was like, I felt like you and Alan and, Jake and like everybody at that point. Like I felt like I finally had something that was mine and I loved.
Right.
And
no, I get it.
Yeah. And I was telling mom, I was like, I can't remember why I even stuck it on the pole that was in the basement down there. I think I was mad about something, and I like ripped it off of the side of the CD, and I was just like, like stuck it on there. And
because they took, oh my God, it was like horrible to get into those things.
Yeah.
You were like, I just want to listen to this fucking song. Like,
and I'm curious if anybody has ever actually bought a physical CD like in the past like 2 years. Comment below and let us know if you did, because if you're on YouTube, like I want to know. I want to know if that's like a thing, because I like mainly people buy digital. Mom bought me the Dr. Dre album
the Compton one from like, I don't know, it was a couple years ago. She bought me that one. She bought me a Lecrae album.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then I bought Kamikaze.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you have bought quite a bit then.
So Kamikaze was what, last year?
I think so. Yeah.
Like I still do support. I mean, even if it's not, I don't know. I'm weird. I'm really old school. So like I do use my YouTube like my phone and stuff, like to listen to YouTube and stuff, or,
right.
Even connect to the car. But if I enjoy that artist or band or whatever it is, I will buy like the hard copy.
See,
I'm the same with movies.
Well, yeah. See, it's weird for me because you would think that with as into music as I am, that I would want physical copies of all the music, and I like conserving my space. I like having all of my music on MP3 like form on like iTunes or whichever.
I mean, I guess here's the thing is that now I don't have a shitload, but when I tried to get albums like signed or something signed by, because a lot of the people I listened to were a little more underground when it came to hip hop, and so like they do big shows, but they're still relatively intimate afterwards.
Right.
A lot of times where it's a little easier to maybe get to them to have an autograph or take a picture or something with them. So that makes it a little different for me. Now, are they a mainstream artist that is, signed with, I don't know, Dr. Dre or, some big, huge record label? No. But that's what I enjoy. And I'm sure we're going to get into music here tonight on.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So,
I mean, if not that, then definitely something else.
Okay.
Which, I mean, there's multiple things that we can talk about that will coincide with what I want to, because well,
you said something about this being fun.
It is going, it's as fun as it can be. And what I mean by that is that I had spoken to Eric just a little bit before this about, I wanted to kind of go about this in like a Patch Adams kind of way.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's really what Patch Adams actually said, or if it was just Robin Williams, and like the stuff that was written in the script for him. I mean, for all I know, it could be real, but it was something to the effect of, when the gentleman in the film looks at him and says, what if somebody had died on your watch, with the case that was against him, of like the whole film is fantastic. If you've never seen it,
oh my God, yeah.
It's
been a while.
Yeah. Robin Williams is just great anyways. And it's just, the fact that it's like, he did more of a serious role, but still had that quirky goofiness, like, just adult humor-esque thing.
He's going to play more than one role tonight in this.
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm going to say?
I'm pretty sure I do.
All right,
yeah.
Go ahead.
But basically what Patch says in this moment, and I love it so much, is that when they ask him, what if someone had died on your watch, he says something to the effect of, why is death something so much to be feared? Why can't it be viewed in a way that's taken care of with some creativity, some love, some compassion, and dare even try some humor? Mm-hmm. And it's like, what, like, death is awful, do not get me wrong, but in the same hand is that, why is it that you have to look at death or look at things that suck and let it destroy your world? They are horrible. They are. But in the same hand, it's like, this is the moment that I want to look at depression in a very, very kind of sobering way. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about the stuff that I've gone through and the way that it first manifested in me, and how I knew that this was just how things were going to be from now on. Like, it's that the idea of that, it's like, this is something kind of like how like the Babadook, like, kind of described it, was that, your depression never really goes away. It's just, it's kind of like the idea of a death, where it's like, when I think I've said it before on the podcast, when, somebody talks about a death in their family or something, and they're just like, look, man, I never got over it. It just got easier, so it's just, depression's, it never goes away, in my opinion. Now, it's some people maybe can completely overcome it. I don't want to say that, things are impossible to overcome, but when it comes to the thing that plagues all of us, and that no one ever talks about, I want to talk about it.
All right.
And I think that this is just something that, people can use to kind of sober up a little bit, about the topic and kind of look at it in a different lens, So
Well, then why don't we just kind of jump right into it?
All right, man. I remember the very first time that I knew that something had changed and that things were going to get harder for me emotionally with what I was dealing with at the time.
Like you knew something had changed in you?
Yeah, it was,
Okay.
it was kind of like, that your subconscious is constantly running always. There's like when you have dreams about certain things, it can get very, very powerful very quick. And when your dreams are, I know this is going to sound so poetic, but I promise you I'm not. Like, this is like legit what, set everything off. Like when your dreams become nightmares about the things that you're finally, like, you've been pushing away for such a long time, and finally they come flooding back on you. That's the moment that's kind of the reality check for you. That's the moment that it's like, you either crumble or you, like, stand strong against it. And then maybe eventually later you do crumble. It's
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
it's horrible, when it happens, but I remember, ironically, one of the reasons I wanted to bring up the picture was because the first time it happened was actually at Aunt Heidi's. I kind of figured it was probably around then. Yeah. It was very late, very, very, very late. And, I was, for whatever reason, I think it was like one of those things, like on the weekends, we would sleep on the couches or something, like we'd camp out or we'd do our thing. And, I was in the living room alone that night, and I remember passing out, and I woke up and I couldn't breathe. It wasn't sleep paralysis. I'm like 90% positive it wasn't, because mom came in and intervened halfway through when I started like screaming for help, because I didn't know what was going on. I could only shout, like get like big breaths to like scream out.
You're probably having a panic attack.
I was absolutely having a panic attack.
Oh,
and,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that was my first experience with, I was thinking about everything that was happening in my life at that point, and it came flooding back on me. And that was the moment that I knew things weren't going to be the same. Things were going to be different, and that this was going to be a new chapter of my life, if you will.
Yeah.
That, at the time I didn't know how long it was going to last. I'm 28, I was 9, and it's still lasting,
At least, I mean, I don't know if this is a good or bad thing, but at least you kind of remember when that hit you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I couldn't really tell you. I would say it was around your age, probably. Like, I was probably 9, 10, something like that. Just when the way I just always started feeling, and then, but so yeah, I definitely, I can relate to that. I just don't know exactly the exact thing that it was. So that's interesting that you can kind of pinpoint that.
Yeah. And it's depression in a very, very weird way. And I never want this to be portrayed in the, wrong way, but depression in a very strange way has been the way that I've been able to love so many things in my life. And what I mean by that is, like you talked about, like Robin Williams. Like, Robin Williams was, in my opinion, I would say, just an absolute just angel among men. Just like the way that he handled everything. He wanted to be sure that no person was ever left out. Everybody always felt great about being in the room with him. And that dude suffered for a long time, from what it seemed like. I mean, I'm not going to claim to know him or whatever, but it's like, how strong of a human being do you have to be able to to hate your existence every day, but you know that you can make these people laugh, and it's what you love to do. And it's like, dude, like he just did it, man. Like, and flawlessly, like, and genuinely funny. Like, that's what's so crazy about it.
Yeah.
Like
he was
was
definitely one of the most pure, I think. Now, granted, he had a lot of trouble with addiction and stuff through a lot of his career, but
right, it was more early.
Even at that, even when he was coked out of his mind, he was still a genuine person.
Yeah,
and This is kind of sad, actually. Like, he committed suicide on my birthday.
I was wondering if that's what you were going to say.
That's what it was. Yeah. And the odd thing was, I had watched the movie The Birdcage, like,
fantastic movie.
like 4 days maybe. Oh, let's just say within the week. Ashley and she had never seen it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, like, we have to fix that right now. And so we did. And she was like, this movie is hilarious, all this stuff. And then it was, with like next week, he had committed suicide. And it was just one of those things where she even was like, but we just watched The Birdcage. Like you said, like, we knew him, and it was because that's how you felt with someone like him. He had that effect on people because, like you said, he didn't leave anybody out. He didn't, and then like I heard he had like ridiculous isn't the right word, but like ridiculous stipulations for when he would work on sets. Like he would staff like 200 like homeless people and stuff like that to like do like the catering and like all that stuff for the shoots.
No way.
And to pay them. And that not only did they get paid, but they got fed.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what I've read that several times. It was, now I don't know if it was, maybe it wasn't every movie, but it was something, it had to have been something like that. It was a lot.
Even if somebody does something like that one time.
Oh, no, it was more than once.
Well, because like, I mean, as you know, today, like when we first woke up, and everything, I was watching that Keanu Reeves, if Keanu Reeves ever, and by some chance sees this, I just want to thank him for being an amazing human being. Because, he's also somebody who has, talked about depression and, stuff that he's met. If I'm not mistaken, I'm like 90% positive he has, but, it's just what I loved was I had skipped over to another video, and this is right up with the Robin Williams thing, was that Keanu Reeves has been known to be very generous to the film crew that he works with.
Yeah.
The first thing that I'd heard about it was that he gave away all of his money that he made for Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions because he was like, I don't need this money, and he gave it to the VFX department.
Yeah, I mean,
like
I don't think
something to that effect.
Yeah, I don't think it was all of it. But it was a lot of it.
Yeah,
but
definitely worth their time. Like,
well,
it was, yeah.
But to be fair, even with him giving him the money, like because he's smart, he knows. Yeah, he gave them the money that he made off the movie. That's not the royalties of how many times it's played on TBS over the years and all this stuff. And all of the other movies that he has made, like almost everything he has touched is a blockbuster hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Almost.
Except for his, what was it, the Dracula movie that he did that was just horrible. It's like, I think
Dracula movie?
Yeah, I believe it was, I don't know. He's gotten way, way, way better as an actor since then, but there was a movie that he was in. I think it was Gary Oldman played Dracula. I feel like that's the case. I feel like that's what it was. But anyway, it's regarded as like just his role in the film was not good. He was trying a British accent, and it was just I was like, no, just
don't
go back to Bill and Ted, bro. It's okay. Yeah. But then after that, it was like
he's got Bill and Ted money, dude.
Which actually the third one is coming out, I guess, whenever this COVID stuff is done.
That is a legit thing.
Yeah. Oh, did you not know that?
I mean, I didn't know if it was like legit.
Oh, so, yes, dude. Right, Bill and Ted. Yeah, it's they still what it is. The joke is that they have not written the song or become the band that's going to ultimately like save the universe that George Carlin told them about.
Yeah.
They're in their like 40s or 50s and they still haven't done it. And it's like, so, like, which I think is hilarious. I think that's okay. So much fun, dude.
All
it's
right.
like, oh,
that's
dude.
going to be good.
But no, it's just what I loved. What Keanu did was his fellow stuntmen that, you know, broke their bodies for him for like the Matrix and all that stuff. I saw something that said that he bought all of them like brand new Harleys.
Yeah.
It was basically, he's like, they break their bodies for me every day. He, you know, and like the fact, like he thought like that and like he picked out, like, you know,
I've heard that a lot.
Cool.
I've heard that a lot with not only him, but quite a few other actors now. I don't know how true it is, but it was something to the effect of, I thought Ryan Reynolds did something like that, like bought his stunt double or whatever, like a car or something afterwards.
Yeah, I believe it.
But yeah. So anyways,
yeah,
but so I guess, I mean, maybe getting back to the whole,
I mean, this is all representative of that. And it's like, it's all, a part of the kind of the point that I wanted to make. And it's a continuous point that will keep going, throughout the entirety of this, is that people deal with depression and everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Everyone in some way, deals with it. Why is it so wrong and cheesy and corny to be like, hey, like, why don't we just do what Keanu does? Like, why don't we have the same mentality of what Robin did? Mm-hmm. Because no, it won't get rid of depression. It won't. I'm not here to be, you know, some, you know, zealot or activist of like, you know, hey, this is the key to, it's like, no, dude, we're all fucked up. Yeah. We all have our issues, but I look at it where the way that the Vlog Brothers put it on YouTube is that they say that they do charities and they do special events to reduce world suck. That is a term that they have used, and it's like world suck has dropped by a drastic 25% this year, and we are doing a great job. He's like, I am just so happy with Nerdfighteria and how they're doing everything. Like, oh, it's funny, but in a way, dude, it's like I love spoiling people. Like, I'm not doing this for, you know, any kind of recognition or anything like that, but it's like one of my favorite things that I've ever done for somebody, and I don't even know who they are, and they don't know who I am. So I can't even they can't even take credit. Maybe they'll listen to this and they'll be like, oh my God, it's him. But essentially, I had gotten birthday money when I think I was 17, 18, I want to say. I think it was from either Uncle Rex or something. I'd gotten something, and
probably.
It was from multiple people, and it was a significant chunk of change, and I had $60 left, and I had bought everything I had wanted. I'd gotten like whatever new game was out at that point.
Yeah.
Cause I think that's a better, you know, deal, you know, for not for Christmas, for your birthday. You know, it's like where you just get like your you know, they give you money and it's like, cool, I'm going to go get exactly what I want.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's always been a preference of mine. But what I did was I was walking through the parking lot of Best Buy, and I was with Mom and someone else, and I was about to get into the car, and I said, hold on a second. I'll be right back. I walked into the parking lot, and I found a car that had an open window. And I just took out the 320s I had, and I threw it into the passenger side and just had it landed in the passenger seat, and I walked away.
Holy shit, really?
Yep. Yeah. And I did it because it was fun. Like, that's a thrill for me where it's like, yeah, like, this is like, I love, you know, blessing people if I can. And years later, I thought back on that, and a part of me was like, what if that was a single mom?
Yeah.
That maybe was there to buy something for her son, like for his birthday, and she had no money, but she did not want him to not have a bad birthday or something.
Right.
You know, and she goes back to her car, and how much is a game worth? It's worth about $60.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, yeah, I
It's
know I'm
like
grasping at straws with that,
No,
but it's like,
no,
I've thought
it's-
about that. Like, what if it was somebody that desperately needed it?
Sure.
You know, and that's, I
See-
want to look at this in a positive light, because it's like, you know, we can talk all day about the bullshit that we've gone through. We can sit here and cry over like the, you know, divorce, like all that stuff that we've been through. That's nothing new. What I really want to do with this is that I want to be able to just take a brief second and go, it's like, you know, why is it such a problem? Why is this such a widespread thing? And it's like, why can't we do more to like essentially help each other through this? If life's going to suck this much, why does everybody have to do it alone? You know, it's like, I mean, not everybody does, but it's like, it's just people suffer through depression every day.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to use this term loosely, but it's like, it is a pandemic, dude. It's like, it's like, you know, it's infectious.
It is. And that's the thing is like, everybody deals with it in different ways.
Yeah.
I would like to think that everybody, like you said, everybody's a little fucked up in their own ways.
Right.
But there are certain people that do need help.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That do need medicine.
Correct. Yes.
You know, and you know that their depression and stuff is maybe you know, way more intense. Mm-hmm. Or, you know, it's one of those that maybe we're just better at handling it, mm-hmm. you know, or something. So I don't know. Everybody has a struggle that they've been through, like you said, you know, so everybody has something, but when you let it consume you is really when it starts taking a toll on even everybody around you.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's
and like
so
that,
true.
and that's where like I try so hard not to like be that infectious person. Mm-hmm. 'Cause I mean, dude, I'm depressed every single day. I'm not gonna. This is not a like, oh, woe is me. Like, no, like
we're adults here.
Yeah, like we're all
right.
adult. Like, I am depressed every day. It takes everything in me to get out of bed, but I do it.
Yeah,
you know, I have to go to work. I have to be an upstanding citizen. Like,
yeah,
it sucks, but I have to do it. You know, am I depressed about the same thing all the time? No, it fluctuates throughout my life. I deal with it in my own way. Like we were just talking about this. You're always like, you're a morning person. Well, not really.
It's sickening how much of a morning person you are.
But I'm not. But that's the thing is I have to make myself, like we were talking how I can't hit snooze. That's part of it.
Yeah.
I've been told before by people that I've dated that I'm like a violent like waker upper.
Just like, yeah.
No, I slam out of bed, like I sit straight up, and it's because if I hit snooze, now I have before, but I play that dangerous game of like just shallow sleep for like 5 minutes.
Oh, it's so bad. It's dangerous. That you're right. That is the most dangerous thing to do.
It's one of them. But
you also enjoy living dangerously. So yeah.
But like I have to sit straight up because I won't. And like I have to get my ass out of bed.
Yeah.
And I just put on a fake smile, honestly. And again, this is not a cry for help. Please don't write in or do like I'm not like, but like that's what I have to do. And that's what gets me through my day, basically. That's part of it.
Right. And let me say this is that you do that flawlessly. And it's so
Yeah.
so while yes, you are absolutely right. You deal with depression every single day and you have to get yourself out of bed because you know for a fact that you won't if you don't. It's like that's you picking your battle in that morning and overcoming that every single morning. And that's
every day.
And that's what people need to realize too. It's that it's like this is a constant battle. It's like that's why everybody should be trying to make it as easy on everybody as possible, you know, emotionally, you know, and trust me, I get it. Dude, I get pissed off like everybody else, but it's like more so like the people that are in our lives.
Oh, dude,
and things like that,
I'll
dude.
rage out.
Oh yeah, trust me, I get it. Me too. You know,
But for like a second, give me just a second or two, once or twice a month, probably for something fucking dumb, for some dumb reason.
Yeah.
And I'm over it, you know, and like, I feel better. Like I get it out of my system, you know, and it's like that old saying, it's like, you know, men take depression and feelings and they just push it way down and, you know, put beer and cake over it, like in the pit of their stomach.
They do put beer and cake.
Yeah.
Which I've never once thought in my life, because number one, I don't like cake, but I've never once in my life thought, you know what would be awesome right now is some cake with some really thick, just sweet icing, and then I'm going to drink a bitter beer on top of it.
I don't think they meant like together.
Oh.
I think they just meant like in general, like you just eat cake
Fair
and
enough.
drink.
Okay,
yeah.
fine. But yeah.
But like dealing like, but that's funny. And like, I don't know, maybe we should take a break before we, I guess, go.
I was looking for a good segue to take a break, and that's a good
just
one.
because of, you know, we might get a little bit more into it, because I have some interesting things with, you know, how I deal with it. And like, you know, you were kind of saying maybe from like where we remember of where we started with our depression and how we dealt with it to like where we are now, basically like a weird now and then.
Yeah.
So
Like, I can give you mine right now. It's after the break. Because mine's really simple, but you get to wait till after the break to hear what it is.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. And we are back. As you can see, there was a lighting change.
oh, it was blinding.
Blinding.
Oh, it was bad. That's why I was like looking to the side. And like for the people out there, if it looks like I'm zoning out, like it's just like I'm like watching him. So I don't know. I don't like make a lot of facial features. So like I swear to God, I'm paying attention to him.
He's just blanking, dude. He's like staring at me like a blank wall.
Yeah. I feel like that's how it is. Sometimes I'm just like,
yeah, too good.
all right. So
we
left off.
We left off on you said now and then,
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that too. I mean,
or
just
then
in
and
general.
now, or whatever.
But as far as like, you know, we were still like talking on, you know, like how I get out of bed and, you know, and everybody deals with it differently, but
Right.
and how everybody, you know, medicine and stuff like that. But I don't know. I feel like there are certain people out there though that they do use it as a crutch, even when it's not that bad, I
Right.
guess. And now I could be completely wrong. Again, everybody fights their demons a different way, but I don't know. Is it safe to assume like you're depressed a lot in a sense? Like you have a lot of depression still in your life?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the difference between, you know, back then and now. The difference between my depression then and now is that it's like I pay taxes now. I drive.
Yeah.
I have a job.
Yep.
I have friends. I have, you know, relationships. I have that's unfortunately, it really hasn't changed much, man. Like it's like when my depression hits, it reverts me back to being 9. And it's like it's that vulnerability kind of a thing.
So yours comes in waves.
Very much so. Yeah.
Oh, mine's consistent.
Well, it's that I have that I deal with, and then it's like there's the day to day, like that. It's like that comes in
No,
with that.
that's what I mean. Like,
So,
no, mine's like consistent,
Wow.
and but that's where I feel like, and I don't know. They say that that's like how Robin Williams was, to go kind of back on that, but like you were kind of saying, like apparently I do it flawlessly by just waking up every morning and fake smiling and stuff, because that's just what I have to do. But
Right.
Guys, don't get me wrong. Like I enjoy life still. Like I mean, like
Yeah.
I still, but it's moments. It's moments in my day that I actually only really enjoy. The rest is all fake, and that's the truth. That is how I really feel. I don't know. I I use sarcasm a lot to deflect a lot of my depression and just in general. I don't know. It's always been that way, even when I was a kid. So even now and then, so it's never really changed.
Right.
I think my depressions are obviously they're different than yours, but at the same time, I don't know. It's one of those, like, I'm not, I'm depressed every day and it takes a lot to get out of bed, but like, I'm not suicidal.
No.
Now here's the thing
that's an unfortunate parallel that, gets thrown into that, where it's like, is that a cause and effect, that does happen, with those things? Yeah, they are, but it's not always that.
It's not. Now, here's the thing is I guess I've never really said this out loud, and oh my God, please do not take this the wrong way. Anybody, not just Kyle. Like I think about it. I think about suicide a couple times a year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't act. Obviously, I'm not acting on it. Like, but it's something that goes through your mind. And honestly, I think if you say that you've never thought about suicide once in your life, I would think you're not human.
Right.
Again, not that you were really going to do it, but it's just, you just have those days really like, fuck, like.
Yeah, no, trust me. I'm right there. I'm right there with you.
And, I've never said this out loud to another human being.
I mean, you only say what you're comfortable with, man.
Well, no. And this was not meant to be morbid by any means. I actually had made a noose. Hold on.
Yeah.
I had made a noose and I had stuck it somewhere where I had normally would go smoke.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just I had it at a spot where like I could see it, like it was kind of hidden because it was out like in the open kind of, but it was hidden and it was just kind of like a reminder, like, you know what I mean? Like a weird reminder where like, if I would have a bad day, and I know that sounds dumb, but like you look at it and you're like, oh, okay.
It kind of gives you that reality, like, where you're like, okay, hell no.
There it is. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like right. Almost in a sense, but it was out there for a long time, like a long time. And it was just one of those things that like kind of became not a daily routine, but it was a pretty reoccurring thing, just right. I would look over and I don't know, like I said, like I still do. I still think about it, but it's a thought, and it's because you're having a bad day or you've had a really bad week. And again, it's not something that you're going to act on. Right. And I think people that struggle with depression, which is everybody, let's get that clear. It's everybody. I do not care who you are. Everybody struggles with it no matter what. Yeah. But, no matter what though, like depression is just something that everybody has to deal with, unfortunately. And I don't know, like thinking that way for me is just the way I do it. If you have to even go to certain lengths, like I know certain people that in the past that have done other things to deal with their depression, and it was borderline, like harmful, and that's not, that's not good. So like, you can't always just deal with it by yourself. Like we stated, sometimes you do need medicine though, but
yeah, that's one thing that I really want people to, understand that it's like, if you are dealing with, something like if you have like a chemical imbalance or, something like that, it's like, you are in the situation of necessity as somebody that, needs glasses like I do.
Yeah.
It's, it's like without my glasses, I can't drive. I can barely walk through my house.
Mm-hmm.
But so many times people are like, man, it's like, if somebody is struggling with, symptoms of like, being bipolar or like, whatever.
Yeah.
And because I've had a couple of friends that have dealt with that. And, one of which even that had it, pretty much his entire life and had no idea until he was much older. And that was a situation that he finally caved, when he realized what was going on. Because I believe at first he was very against the idea of even being medicated. And somebody kind of had that, pep talk with him. And that with, everything I had just said. And he could not quit talking about how much better he felt.
Well, good.
It's crazy.
I think that's another thing too, is that I think a lot of people misunderstand that when somebody's having a bad day, that they immediately consider them bipolar. When somebody snaps first, like I said, like I have like 2 freakouts a month.
Right.
Everybody's like that. And I meant to, this was what I was kind of touching on a minute ago, but I veered off. But again, that whole like thinking about like, suicide or whatever, like if people or other people feel like that, like don't feel embarrassed or don't feel like you're weird either. Like that's another thing, is that again, unless you were like really harming yourself, if you have something that you do that helps you, like that's the thing, is if you deal with it in a different way, like we said, everybody does, but don't be ashamed of it, and I think it's one of those, people don't talk about it enough because they feel like they're like trying to, again, get attention or something. If I would just be like, man, I thought about suicide today, people are like, oh my God. But if I would say it all the time, like when I would really think it would be like, okay, dude. But it's not what you think I'm saying, like what I'm saying though, know.
And it's weird how
you
the
can't
thoughts
just
that,
say it and talk about it.
There's the way that I find that it kind of hits my mind whenever I have like those suicide like thoughts or whatever, like if like when they creep in, is that the only way that I can describe it is that it's at different levels of aggressiveness as far as like how much I'm feeling, where it's like there's, for instance, there was a big majority of time that I cycled through, I think, the same 6 or 7 songs. And it was not to help, really. It was just one of those things where it was the only songs that could really relate to me in that moment.
Oh, yeah.
And it's crazy, like, how destructive that was. Which sucks because the songs were really fantastic, but that was a moment that I really had to kind of check myself, because I was like, man, I'm doing nothing but putting myself into a crap mood.
Yeah,
I'm already feeling like crap, and everything around me is crap, and it's like all I'm doing is just, it's like, no, it's like I can't do that. I've got to change my diet.
You have to. I feel like sometimes, at least for me, I do that to myself on purpose. Sometimes, not for like an extended period of time, but there are certain songs, and again, talking about music, that's a big one for me, as far as that helps me through every day, I guess. And like, I know there are certain songs, or maybe even like certain bands or something, that put me in those sad moods, I guess. And I'll just listen to him. I'll listen to him. I will. And just because like, I don't know, like I know that I need to feel that way for a minute, but I quickly pull myself back.
Right.
I just need it to, like, man, this sounds, again, the more I start thinking about it to say out loud, the like, really the weirder it sounds, but like, I need to feel something.
Yeah, no, it's, I'm actually really happy that you said that.
Like, I need to,
very happy you said that.
Like, I need to feel it. Like, as far as like that, sad is like the only thing, like, I kind of know.
Yeah. Yeah, I get you.
So happiness and fun and laugh, I would say, for me personally, 95% of it is fake. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's it's not I guess maybe like a true happiness. And maybe I don't know, maybe that's part of my problem. That I just haven't found a quote true happiness that some would say, but I don't know. I don't know. Like I had a moment of, just sheer depression, I guess you could say, yesterday morning, just driving to work. I was this morning. Sorry. Oh my God. I was off yesterday. So it was this morning. I was just driving. I'm just like, okay, just going through like just where I am in life. I'm just like, well, here we go. But then, 20 minutes later, once I got to work and settled in, it went away, but I still was, down or depressed about other things, but I had moments of my day that were still good. So it's just, that's how I deal with it. And it's just, I don't know. I feel like maybe you're the same way then, is just you kind of like you keep it to yourself, even though we feel like we should talk about it. And I think more people should.
Well, yeah. And and
people be like, yeah, it's what a counselor's for. No, I'm not going to talk to some dumbass. And I say dumbass because why? Because you got a plaque that says you can listen to me on your wall, that you went to school for 3 years. Cool, dude. You don't know shit about that person. That makes it so that's not intimate. Why am I going to tell the Pope my sins? Why? You know me, dude. I'm not going to tell you that. I don't know. It's things like that. I don't know. It freaks me out in a sense to where I'm not going to tell a complete stranger my problems and then expect them to try to fix it. No, the people that help you fix that, I feel like, are your closest friends and family, because those are the people that know you.
Yeah.
Those are the people that are able to pull you out of a funk. That's why they're called your friends.
Yeah. Right.
But I don't know. To me, that has always been pretty awkward, even for like counseling, like marriage counseling, things like that. There's a fine line for that with me, though. I don't know. Sometimes that's a little different. That's talking about something you can kind of fix without having medicine.
Right.
That is a little bit different. That's like just more of a outlook on how to help your relationship, not a like maybe chemical imbalance or something.
Right.
So, I mean, that could play a part in it. But anyways, so yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, let me say this, is that I think that when it comes to therapy, when it comes to, a professional to have to listen to, is that my stance has always been on that, is that I want to be able to hear from an unbiased source. And now that benefits me in a way that is kind of interesting, and I don't mean to sound pompous, but I try to be as honest as possible whenever I'm, explaining every side. Like after I've had my moment to bitch and like talk about how much I'm the victim and everything, like I step back, and think about it and really just am like, you know what? I need to, ask somebody who doesn't know anyone in this situation, and I need to know, hear an unbiased, opinion. That is something that I would feel in my mind is where a lot of people get sidetracked.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that can really kind of throw them off, and it's unfortunate because it's a very simple thing to be able to overcome.
Right.
But yeah, man, it's nuts. I knew that this was going to be something that was going to be probably not easy to get through if we got through to some with some things, but in the same hand, I'm very, very happy that that this did work out really well.
It did, and there's a lot to be said about depression. Like, man, there's so much to go into it. even as far as we could sit here for days and days, honestly.
Right.
But I mean, I know for me, I guess now I feel like I am better, even though I do still struggle with that every day. Like I know, about like my past and things like that. Like that had a lot to do with it. I was not a good person. I was a very dark, mean individual, and it was not okay, but it consumed me. Excuse me. It consumed me, and it took an effect on everybody around me. Like even some of my family, and when I left, when she left me, when she finally had enough, like it was that bad, but like it finally, like you kind of got to see, the outside looking in, and like you're kind of a recap of everything. And you're like, man, like how much of an asshole you really were. And it's sad. And it's because like you almost, in a sense, like you couldn't control it. That's why I've tried so hard with how I am now, because, she didn't deserve that, regardless of anything else in the relationship that, was bad. But like, regardless, she did not deserve that. And that is something that, like, I don't know, nobody should have to deal with that. And that was something that was a wake up call for me. I think it was depression took over. So like I was evil. I really was. I was pure evil.
Isn't that so fucked up that you can be hurting so hard and so deep, and it just turns you into that?
Yeah.
That to me, like I feel like that is, if there was a life cycle to depression as far as like being a virus, to me, that would be the critical condition.
Mm-hmm.
To me, like that is when how a friend of ours that I sought some counsel from basically told me, they were like, at that point I was becoming apathetic and I was just becoming indifferent.
Right.
And it made me very, very hateful. And they said, you are in the most dangerous place right now. And the relationship I was in at that point, it was like, if you do not do something, this will fail. And most importantly, you are going to ultimately fail.
Yeah. And, and I failed. I failed. And that was the thing, was it consumed so much of my, it was 10 years. It was 10 years that this person had dealt with it. And, I don't know, like it got worse and worse and worse over time. And
I promise you, I'm not bored. I know.
Just but it
tired.
It got to the point of I could, oh man, like I could feel it. Like, I could feel it like in me all day. Like I said, it was, Kyle, it was pure evil. I without a doubt. And I loved that person. That's what's so fucked up. And that person would have done anything for me.
Mm-hmm.
And not, she is way better off. Like, and if she, for any reason were to see this, like for whatever, like I am sorry. Like, I know that doesn't do anything, but publicly, like I am sorry. Like, it is, I almost wish you could see it now how I am. But anyways, so that that's how I feel, is that, she, from what I understand, has a great boyfriend, maybe even married. I don't know.
Right.
I don't really like stalk her,
Right.
But that
you have moved on in every way
yeah,
that you possibly can. Right.
yeah. Like, I always will love her as a person. That was 10 years of my life.
Right.
That's not something, but what I'm getting at is that the depression was that bad that we were mentally, physically, and emotionally abusive to each other.
Yeah.
It was bad. But at the same time, like that in you, like it felt good almost.
Yeah.
And
I think that at that point,
it's that darkness.
What I think is so crazy is that it's such a critical state because you have lost everything to smile about. You have lost everything to love. You have lost everything. So what can you enjoy? Making people hurt.
Right.
Because it's the only thing that for a fact you can hurt people.
Oh, without a doubt. I knew that I could instantly make her cry.
Right.
I know that with anybody, basically, I choose not to. That's the thing is that now, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had moments of weakness, where like I break for a second and, am kind of mean in a fight, but again, right. Everybody does that. It's when it's a consistent thing or when it becomes more than just, normal bickering, because everybody fights. Everybody does.
Yeah.
Every, relationship, so nobody's going to not have, be with somebody, whether it's a guy and a girl or, if you're gay, like it doesn't matter. Two dudes, two chicks, a guy and a girl, it doesn't matter. You're going to fight. So it just is really how you deal with that.
Yeah.
If you feed off of that, and that is like what, it's going to be very hard to control that. And that, man, that's what it was for me. And that's a lot of the reason why I kind of sort of stay off Facebook.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's not exactly a bad decision anyway.
No,
so,
but I still fall victim every once in a while on being that Facebook idiot by, spouting off or whatever. But for the most part, I try to just
I need an energy shot, dude. I apologize.
But like I try to just post pictures of, my little one or maybe something funny every once in a while. But I'm kind of a lurker. So like I just kind of scan through real quick and then I go through. But so
I went through a while being very offended you weren't replying to me on Facebook, and then you told me that you were like, "Yeah, I never really check it." And I
don't have the app.
I took back all my negativity. So
yeah, I don't have the like app. I don't have it. Like I have to physically type in, in the search bar and hit that and then go through. Like I don't. Yeah, so like I don't get notifications like like normal people do on my phone and stuff. So people think I'm ignoring them half the time. I'm really not. I'm ignoring everybody. Right. So, but that's the thing is that, that was part of it. I didn't want to be on Facebook because it's just always, that's what it is. Everybody's bickering and fighting and politics and this and that, man. The internet used to be fun.
Yeah.
Facebook used to be fun.
MySpace
used to be fun. Instagram's still pretty fun, but it's just photos. But getting back to it is just the whole thing is like depression is it's awful. Let's just say that. We can even just end on that too if you want to. Like it's awful, but we all deal with it and we all have to deal with it in different ways. Because I completely forgot where I was going with all of that. To be 100% honest with you.
Honestly, the way that I look at depression is this. I look at it in the ferocity. In the same way that somebody coined the phrase "fuck cancer," like it's like, dude, like I understand that it's like depression and cancer are two very, very different things, but
it's the same mentality.
It's just, dude, I just that's a phrase that's actually helped me get out of it before. Where I'm like, no, I'm not fuck this, I'm not doing this. I'm like I have done this for too long. I'm like I have on the opposite end of the spectrum, it's like, I don't get out of bed sometimes, and it's like, man,
Oh, no, I have days like that.
Well,
No.
no, right. But what I'm saying is that it's like, I very much like actually got my sleeping schedule and everything like fixed up because like, you've been staying here, man. It's like that's helped out a lot, so, to hear that's the reason, like, why, you do that every morning. It gets me pumped, man, where it's like, dude, it's like, yeah, like it makes me like realize I can do this, man.
Yeah.
And it's like, and because you're doing it and you're killing it.
I mean, like I say,
I
it's
feel like it, but I promise you it is.
Well, right. But it's one of those fake it till you make it type thing. And, I don't know. It's something that I've just always, it's part of my daily routine. And, so like it is a very much a part of me because like you said earlier, it's never going to go away. I don't think.
No. And this is why I think that I very much just want to enjoy like what I have, and it's because that's something that I have, not really, taken advantage of for a long time. And, I kind of, woke up in a sense and I was like, you know what? I'm like, I've been talking about a bunch of things that I've been wanting to do. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing them. Why? What's stopping me?
Why aren't you?
And, one of those things was this podcast.
It was, I was
That's just really crazy. It's just, it all kind of comes full circle.
I was really happy that you decided to do that when I first got here, you were depressed and I could tell, like, and there was a lot going on, and without getting too into it, like you explained, it's like, I understood.
Right.
I understood why you were just, you were, way high strung and like, all this stuff. And you had mentioned about, getting this specific equipment that we're using.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I was just like, man, I know that it's probably not the smartest time to spend the money on what for this, but you had it like worked out. You like sat down and like told me everything. And I'm like, man, like, oh my God, just do it.
Yeah.
Like you want to do this, just do it. And what it takes us, cause I can see the clock here, it takes us 2 hours, obviously what the podcast is and with a 5-minute difference between setup and breakdown. So
yeah,
it's 2 hours. Again, we would sit here and be doing the same shit anyways.
Yeah. And that's why I was so excited about this, was that it's like you guys get to hear the conversations that we have. It's just
that we're see.
Yeah. It's just, that's right. Yeah. That's it leaves my mind so much that that's like we're recording with cameras, man. It's like,
and
it really shows me it's like, this has gone somewhere, and I love that.
Well, right. And that's where, like, but going back to the whole thing is that you did it, and I think you're enjoying like you said, like you got on a sleep schedule now. You started doing something that you wanted to do. Mm-hmm. You're doing your hobbies and keeping your mind busy. That's why I listen to music so much. It's to keep my mind busy.
Yeah.
My most dangerous time is alone. Like alone, like with like silence. Like that's why I need my headphones. Like I also I'm one of those weird people. So I don't know if everybody knows what this is. It's called ASMR. But like if I have trouble sleeping, I will turn on certain things on YouTube because I can't just shut my brain off, and I can't just sit there because I will just think the most fucked up things. Mm-hmm. In my mind, and
I'm right there with you.
So that's why it's like it's a distraction, and
yeah, and it's the way that I've kind of looked at this is that I try to look at it more, I try to make it look less like a distraction, even though that is the intended purpose. Mm-hmm. But for instance, this is kind of like an oxymoron because we're talking about, the very thing that I'm using to distract myself from it, and I'm bringing up that thing. But this has gone from a distraction to something that I love.
Well, yeah.
And what's crazy is that it's like, this is where people run into trouble, is that it's like they don't have hobbies. They don't have things to keep themselves busy. And it's like, that's, I understand, not everybody is an introvert like I am.
Right.
But in the same hand, you got to do stuff that you enjoy.
I'm an introvert more so in the wintertime. That's when I think we've talked about before that I play the most video games.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, and it's because it's cold as shit. It's Ohio, dude. Like, nobody wants to be all fucking inside. And look, everybody says that they hate where they come from. I hate Ohio for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it. If Ohio was like even just 60s at its minimum all year round, I would be straight with that, and I wouldn't bitch so much about it. I hate, loathe
entirely.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah. the whole 4 seasons all the time in Ohio, daily.
And that's not a joke.
It's not.
It's like there was actually one.
That's why I'm so depressed. Shit.
No, seriously. That actually, I made a video about it a while ago, and it's like that whole joking to sarcasm thing you're talking about. Make yourself feel better, dude. I was in such a bad place that's why I started doing my driving vlogs. Because I was going insane. I was like, we had not seen sunlight in however long it had been. It just had been perpetually gray for a month. And I was hitting my wit's end.
Yeah.
I couldn't deal with it. I needed to just purge and get something out. So I thought to myself, all right, well, I'll just go 2010, style of, vlogging here. Just do it in my car. It's just, see what happens. And it was fun. It was cool. But
see, that's the thing is, like you said, hobbies to keep yourself busy with depression. So I think that's it, is that, if you can find something that you love to do and, find your hobby and find your niche, that it's not going to cure it.
No,
but it'll help. So, or maybe it's several things. It could be the stupidest thing, but it's something. Like I said, I just don't like to be by myself in silence. I mean, obviously nobody does, but that is just why I always have headphones. That is why I always have something I'll put on the TV at night. It's not because I'm afraid of the dark. I'm afraid of myself sometimes. Honestly. And it's just because I think fucked up things, like I said, and it's just oh man. Or you recap certain things that, in your past, and you're just oh my God. Yeah. And it's just, that's what I don't want. And that's what keeps me up. So yeah, you gotta find something that's going to help you with that. And so, again, sometimes you do need medicine, but
you do. And it's the most practical way that I can say that you can overcome depression little by little. And I'm into a place to where it's manageable. Because I say that because depression never goes away. It becomes manageable. You figure out the way to keep yourself genuinely better, not just an appearance. You genuinely that's something that I've had to learn, where it's dude, I got so tired of faking it. I got so tired of everything, where it's there was a while I didn't fake it, man. I was legit just cynical, upset all the time, man. I couldn't do it anymore. I hate lying. I hate being lied to. That's just something I can't do.
Yeah.
And so pretty much for the most part, what you see out of me is what you get. That's that it is.
That's how I am too.
But I've heard so many people talk about it. I mean, it's even a joke in the movie What About Bob? When he's talking about baby steps. He's baby steps towards the elevator, all that stuff. And what kind of made it come together for me, that it made me push forward a little bit, where it's what, I'll set my coffee in the morning. Okay. Even if I don't wake up, I'm I'll set it.
Yeah.
It's there. That could help me out. I then start thinking you know what? I'm going to go ahead and go get gas right now. Cause you know what? I'm not going to push it off till tomorrow morning, cause I hate it when I do that.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, it's all those
small things, dude.
So you're not pissed off right in the morning to have
yeah,
to,
you know, it's like, dude, if you're willing to overcome your small battles that you're going to have all day, the easier it's going to be to ultimately fight the demons that come at night.
yeah.
That's, dude, like, that's because, and I know that sounds like, so, symbolistic and everything, but like, dude, like, it's such a real thing. Like, some people suffer from, like legit things like, sleep paralysis and panic attacks and stuff like that. I don't. I don't ever want to claim like I do. I don't. I'm thankful that I don't. But there are some nights that I do the replay button a lot. Replaying stuff is stuff that hits me, and there's some things that you and I probably would be very cohesive on, being in the same room for some things, and like that's something that will periodically come back. I've got stuff that I have embarrassed myself over, like gravely embarrassed, like that constantly comes back to me.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you sit there and you replay those things, or like you replay the day or whatever, and that's what I was talking about. Like just keeping myself busy. Yeah. And I definitely know what you're talking about.
And I mean, obviously, like we've been alluding to, some things in the previous like podcasts about like spiritual deconstruction and stuff like that. And we're not going to get into that, but even with me doing that, there was something that stood out to me that I was just like, man, I'm like, whoever wrote this officially, like, it's like this was inspired, like this was good. It was something that the band Decipher Down, who's a very, very renowned Christian band, wrote a song called No Longer. And there was a moment that Caleb, who was their original singer, says something to the effect of, no longer will I sit and die for something that I don't even really care for. It's like, I don't even like this. Yeah. It's like why am I dying to something that I hate?
Right.
It's like, I don't even really care for this, and it's like, that's like, I get emotional over that, because it's like, that's something where it's like, it makes you call out the shit in your life that doesn't make sense. And it's like, no, like, I don't need to do this,
And I think that was a big part of like how I've, like you said, baby steps on overcoming certain things, with my past and that person, because it took hitting rock bottom to come back.
Yeah.
And I know everybody says that's what they have to do, but like, no, it's the truth. So it's, man, like, that's just, it really just makes you think, like when you, like you said, see, like right now, like now I'm thinking about stuff like that. And like that's where, not that I don't like want to do it in a sense, because it is a good reminder in a sense of like, to never go back to that or whatever. But,
it's, I use the embarrassments, the failures, the moments of anger, the just irrational behavior that I had towards people, like all that stuff, like through, because I've gone through a lot of shit, as you have, and it's like, there's been times that it's like, it's some days it's all I can think about.
Yep.
The only way, and the only practical way that I feel that there is out there to move forward is to never do those things again.
Yeah.
That is something that will push me forward, of like, if I were to get into a fight with Christy, and it's like, they're like, we've gotten a lot better about it. And by that, I mean, I've gotten a lot better about that. But basically it's basically come down to, I've thought about it where like what it used to be compared to like now, it's like, dude, it's like, it's so much more healthier. Mm-hmm. And like, cause that's one of the things that people always say, where it's like, look, it's like, you need to be able to fight with your spouse, but you need to be able to fight fair.
Yeah.
And that's because as America, you have to fight, like you have to work things out. You have to, do that. And I don't mean like, as in like, an unhealthy, thing. It's like, there is such a thing. And that's something that was very prevalent, but I look at that as a victory. Mm-hmm. I think of that and it's like, that's something that pushes me forward. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, you know what? No, I'm like, I'm not doing it again. I'm pushing forward. You know,
you're right. That's what I do too. Where it's like I don't want to be that person again or do that again. You know, or like how I acted in that situation. So yeah, you're definitely right.
Yeah. But yeah, man, this was definitely a different one. You know, a little more serious, but in the same hand, I feel like it's something that you know something that we need to talk about for sure.
Can I just add real quick?
No, please. Yeah, go ahead.
What I do hate is being the sarcastic, like big, goofy, dumb idiot. A lot of times, like in the room, like most people, like, you know, associate me with that. That when I'm not doing backflips and juggling and doing, like, obviously I don't really do that, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, right.
And doing those things, that's automatically like, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Are you depressed? Are you sick? Well, yeah, motherfucker, every day. But like, I'm just not in the mood. It's not even always the fact that I am depressed. Mm-hmm. It's just some days like, oh man, maybe I didn't get sleep. Like, yeah. I got even less sleep than I already do. Like, it's not always because I'm bummed out or I'm depressed even more. Or
sometimes you just want to shut off.
Yeah, right. You just want to shut off for a minute. And, you know, now don't get me wrong. Some days it is because I'm down in the dumps and I'm depressed. It's going to happen. But I hate that's like the first thing that people, because I'm not running around the room and doing, you know, or whatever it is. And,
right.
You know, all this shit. But, you know, like I need a break too.
Yeah.
You know, so that I don't know if it was ever like that with you, because, you know, we're kind of sort of the same when it comes to that. But that was just one thing I wanted to touch on real quick, is that irritates me. That irritates the shit out of me, that it's like, I don't know. Yeah. That just that immediate association with, just because I'm just being like calm. Like, I don't mean calm because I'm like hyper as shit all the time, but like when I'm just like being like kind of reserved and quiet.
Yeah.
And just kind of doing more listening. It's just,
yeah, it's, I kind of liken it to when Mick Thompson from Slipknot said that when they went to go record their second album, Paul called him and said, "Hey, Mick," he's like, "It's time, we're doing this." And he's like, "What? Like this fast?" And like, dude, like, wait, like, can we like have 5 minutes to catch our breath, kind of a thing?
Yeah.
And no, sorry, that was Jim. Then Mick basically said, he's like, yeah, he's like, you know, he's like, you basically come from a situation where you're like, all right, you had about 2 years to put together your first album. You wrote about 12 songs out of that in those 2 years, which was awesome. And the first album worked. Now you have 6 months to write an album. You need to write tons and tons and tons of songs and see which ones work. And he's like, that's like looking at a painter and going, all right, well, here, you know, take all these paints, go paint a picture. And he's like, no, what if I don't fucking want to?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, it's like, that's an artist saying that, you know, it's like, there's days, dude, where it's like, no, man, I don't want to do what, like my art thing, where it's like, no, dude, I'm like, I want to sit here. I want to eat potato chips and be miserable. Like,
yeah.
You know, like,
yeah. You're right.
That's what it
I
comes
want
down
to come home. I want to sit and do nothing.
Yeah.
But you got to be careful with that too, because that can consume you too. But
yes. Oh, yes.
But yeah.
Very much.
But yeah. So you're absolutely right. But yeah. So anyways, I just had to sneak that in there. But yeah. So you're right. This was a pretty good one. Not as off the wall and quirky, but yeah, I think it was definitely. Do you have it turned up, or no? You're fading up. That's right.
This is how this works. We push this forward.
Yeah,
you guys get to kind of see this. This is what this looks like whenever I.
Well, you can't
do
really
an outro. Well, no, I'm just saying, like, this is how I sit. You know.
Oh,
I'm getting kind of uncomfortable because I'm pushing it up further to make it very to influence the end. You know, so
just do it.
Well, no, what if I don't want to? All right, guys. Well, hey, if you guys have been checking this out, we appreciate you guys for sticking it out this long. But until next time, you guys enjoy. Subscribe if you guys haven't done that already, and follow us on Spotify. That way you guys never miss an episode.
Thumbs up.
Thanks, guys. Adios.